Okay, so look what we have here again. A friend of the show, Tony Khan, here joining us from AEW, of course. A lot of big things happening in the world of professional wrestling. A lot of big things happening with AEW as well. So thank you for taking some time to talk with us today.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. I wanted to ask about this because I think this is something that is really exciting and it kind of helps maybe get AEW out to a few more markets a little bit more often. And you guys are starting to do some house shows. When is that starting, and when are you coming to North Carolina again? I think that's
Yes.
the
Well,
real
it's,
thing that everybody wants to know.
it's great questions. Well, March 18th is the first house show in Dayton, Ohio, House Rules. And we'd like to continue the House Rules shows, continue the touring, and hopefully more great live events coming soon, either TV or house shows. We'd love to come back to North Carolina, one of the best states in the whole country, one of the best markets in the whole world for pro wrestling is North Carolina.
How important is this to add to the business and growth of AEW so far to expand outside of just the television only type of business plan that you guys have gone with so far since inception?
Well, we've been adding new revenue streams as we grow, as the business continues to expand, and this is another great revenue stream. When we launched AEW, it was important to me to get the TV off the ground and make that our focus. And also for the quality of life for the wrestlers and the staff, I didn't want people on the road 300 days a year. So that's not ever going to be the schedule of AEW. I think when we do get the house show business off the ground, we'll do it responsibly where the wrestlers can still take care of themselves. And again, I'm never going to ask anybody to wrestle 200 or more matches a year like people have done elsewhere.
So speaking of the house shows and live events, just more opportunities for some of your younger wrestlers to get in front of a live audience, even though it may not be on television. How beneficial is that for the homegrown talent that you all are developing?
Super beneficial. It's a great question, Dennis. It's going to be really helpful to the younger wrestlers, and it's a great opportunity for the fans to get to see a lot of their favorite stars because we're going to load these up with big name wrestlers. So it's a great opportunity for everyone involved to see great AEW action like this week's show. I think this week on Wednesday Night Dynamite is one of the most stacked lineups we've ever had. It's championship fight night on AEW Dynamite with two world championship matches and two world championship eliminators and a lot of great action as much as we can pack into 2 hours on TBS. It's going to be a great show.
How are you personally able to keep up with everything? Because that's something I've always wondered. Like, you're here helping to put together two wrestling shows a week, which is a lot of work in and of itself. But then also you're the boss and taking care of the business side, and then not only just AEW and the future of that, you're with the Jaguars, and you have your other professional organizations that you're involved with, and there's feels like there's so much. Plus, doing this, you're sitting down with us for 15 minutes. This could have been used for a business call. How are you able to keep up with everything and keep everything running? That's the thing that I think is kind of interesting about you personally as Tony Khan.
Well, I love wrestling and I love what we get to do every week and bringing these shows to the fans, like AEW Dynamite every Wednesday on TBS, like AEW Rampage every Friday on TNT. That is my favorite part of every week. And I really look forward to anytime the shows are on, the great feedback we get from the fans, no matter what it is, if it's positive or negative. And it's really been very positive this year. I think we've had the most overwhelmingly positive feedback we've ever had to this recent run of shows we're on. I don't know what it is about the Road to Revolution, but it seems like on the Road to Revolution, the shows always get really exciting and the fans always get really into it. And this year, clearly no exception. Great anticipation for that pay-per-view, and all the TV shows we've done since the start of the year have been well received and I think really great shows. And hopefully we can keep that going. That kind of adrenaline, that kind of buzz is why I love doing this every week and would never want to take a week off or get away from it.
So you guys have changed up the presentation of Dynamite and Rampage with in terms of just the aesthetic and how things are looking and how it's all presented. Why did you all decide to make those changes, and what have you all seen as a benefit from just the change of the look and the freshening things up?
Well, it was at the start of the year, we wanted to do a refresh, give a new presentation to the show. And come out with a new set. And I think we've had great feedback on it. People really like the new look, and it was time to try something different. It's amazing we've been doing this for this long now. It doesn't feel like AEW's in year 4 on television, but we are. And so after doing so many great shows, it's crazy to think that this week is 175 episodes of Wednesday Night Dynamite.
Wow, that's crazy.
Unbelievable.
Wild.
And so after 175 episodes, certainly, we felt like now was a great time to give a new look, a new presentation. I think we were probably about 169 episodes in when we gave the change, and it felt like a nice time to try something different.
It's interesting you mentioned that amount. You have 175 episodes of Dynamite plus all the episodes of Rampage, and then all of the dark and dark elevation, and there's so much that's there along with the pay-per-views. Excuse me if I've missed this, but is there any update on streaming and a place where fans can kind of get this? At some point, they could pay whatever per month and have access to this, because there's a lot of times there's matches I want to go back and look at some things that happened in 2019, and it's kind of hard to find those things. Is that something that's coming up soon, and what are the plans for that?
Well, we've built a great library, like you said. Now, with all these episodes of Dynamite, Rampage, and all the great classic pay-per-view events we've done in AEW, there's a lot of demand for AEW on streaming. It's clearly something that would have a big customer base. So the more of these interviews I do and the more questions I get asked, hopefully we're demonstrating the value of this service and how financially viable it would be to our media partners at Warner Brothers Discovery. Because we've had good conversations about it, and I think there's real value there. And if we're going to do it, I want them to be a part of it. And we have a great business together with Warner Brothers Discovery and AEW. So whenever they feel like it's time to bring us to streaming, I think it's going to be an excellent platform. And I know we will have a great library of events to offer people, in addition to great content going forward that we put out every week in AEW. And we can even expand it for a streaming offering with the great wrestlers and the capacity we have.
So it sounds like it's more so outside of AEW, kind of keeping things up, maybe some corporate things out. It's not really AEW that's the hold up on this.
Well, it has to be the right deal for everyone. So it's fair to say I think we're all the hold up. But whenever the deal is right for everybody and the time is right, and frankly, the demand we know is there, and I think we can prove that and show that. There's clearly a lot of people that want to see an AEW streaming service. Every interview I do, I get asked. This is the 4th time I've been asked about it today in an interview. and I will say that clearly people really want to see that. And I think letting people know that you want to see it really helps us out a lot too. So it's a great library of content. And if the right deal is there and we can make it happen, I think if it's economically viable for all sides, it's going to happen.
Sorry, I wasn't so original with the question.
No, it's very, very good. That train is never late, Chris.
Yeah.
So I get asked that one a lot.
So Chris and I, working in sports media, we often get we have the conversations oftentimes about how to reach a younger audience. Chris and I are both in our mid-30s. So how do we reach the 18-year-old? How do we reach even people younger? Not only just with the product that we present, but also meeting them where they are in terms of how they consume media. How much are you all, in terms of your product in the ring and what you all present, how much do you all balance trying not only attract a younger audience, but also making sure that your hardcore fans who might be an older demographic aren't left behind either?
Well, that's a really great question. I think that's the challenge for everyone in media that really most media companies focus on, is continually trying to reach a young demographic and making sure to keep a young audience involved in the show. That's really important to us in AEW. We do that with having great stars and trying to put them in exciting matches and exciting stories. And I think we've got really a great track record, especially these recent months, of having awesome shows. I think from the beginning of AEW, we've had great investment from the young audience. And as we've gone on, we've developed some homegrown stars and brought in some big free agents that definitely speak to a young audience and do really well in those young demos. And as cable TV, as TV in general changes, and the media world changes, and linear television looks different, it's still a huge, huge business. And the fact is, big sporting events and things people want to see, they're going to find them on television. And right now, our TV contract is our number one source of revenue. So keeping our great relationship with TBS and TNT is very, very important to us. And obviously in North Carolina, there's a great tradition of wrestling on TBS and TNT. And for the fans around the Carolinas and all these great states where people are used to watching wrestling on TBS and TNT, you've got people in, our demographic, people like us in this kind of similar age that I am to you guys, or people a bit older than us, or people a bit younger than us that might have different memories. I think for us, or people older than us, they'd be familiar with wrestling on TBS and TNT, and they might have even grown up with it. For a younger demographic, this might be the first time they've seen wrestling on TBS and TNT. That history, that tradition might not mean as much to them. That's why it's important to have wrestlers and stories that speak to them, and frankly to all audience members, and trying to grow the audience of all ages all over the world.
You mentioned earlier about the great feedback you've gotten from fans, and as of late with the last string of events. But we all know that, there's also, the negative feedback. How do you balance the negative feedback, or you guys should have done this, those types of things, to, like, I guess, balance giving the fans what they want, but also, like, taking them along the journey? Because sometimes, fans don't realize that you've got something planned. We're going to go somewhere with this. Just kind of, go with us on this journey. How do you normally balance that when it comes down to planning out things?
Well, our fans have a lot of confidence in AEW, and I think building that consumer confidence, it took time and a lot of great shows, and respecting the fans and their feedback. We've built a great rapport with our fans, and we've got this really loyal base that sticks with us on Wednesdays on TBS and Fridays on TNT, and we're always looking to grow it. I think listening to their feedback and taking it under advisement is really, really, really important for us. And I think it's been a reason we've had good success this year in 2023. And frankly, there's been very little negative feedback this year to the shows, because I think they've been really strong, and people can see where we're heading towards Revolution. People are interested in where this is going to go, and they want to see more. So we've had strong ratings in the last month, but also critical feedback from critics or the hardcore fans who send in a lot of feedback or engage with us on social media. It's been the most positive response I can remember to a series of shows that we've ever had. So just really want to keep that going. And, every once in a while there could be something fans don't like, and it's important to learn from that. And is it something they don't like because they know where this is going and they don't want it to go there? Or is it something that they don't like because, that they're not sure, but there's a good surprise or a good payoff for them? It just depends. But there is a difference, and I think it's important to know the difference between what kind of negative feedback it is. But really just trying to avoid negative feedback when you can is always good too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. All right, so this coming Wednesday, Dynamite, we have the trios titles are on the line, the tag team titles are on the line, a couple world championship eliminator matches as well. But something that we've seen regularly on Dynamite or Rampage, Ring of Honor titles being defended on those shows as well. Where is Ring of Honor currently in terms of its status, in terms of being on television? And also, I got a question as well. What about the Ring of Honor tag team titles with the unfortunate passing of Jay Briscoe? Where does that stand in terms of the tag team championships?
Well, as of right now, the tag team champions are Mark and Jay Briscoe, and I'm not really prepared to talk about the tag team championship or what we're going to do there. And they are the greatest champions by far in Ring of Honor history, and I don't think any of us are really ready to think about that.
Sure.
But I do have plans for Ring of Honor and the weekly show, the stream. We've brought back Ring of Honor's Honor Club, and it is more successful than ever. You've got more streaming subscribers to the Ring of Honor library of content than the history of Ring of Honor ever had in 20 years at their peak. So now I think in many ways this can be the new peak of Ring of Honor. The pay-per-view business we've done has been by far the strongest they've ever done. The live event business we've done for those shows, the strongest in Ring of Honor's history. So clearly there's still interest in the brand. And it was important to me to purchase it. First of all, we talked about streaming. Adding to that library, it's an even bigger library. They've got thousands of hours with some of the biggest names in wrestling history. And now you've also got this great library we mentioned with 175 episodes of AEW Dynamite and 80 episodes of Rampage, 16 pay-per-view events, and so many more great shows we've done. I think the Ring of Honor library is very complementary to the AEW library for business reasons. I also think it's a great brand and they have a great tradition. And frankly, if I had not bought them, I don't think there would be Ring of Honor shows happening right now. And it was posed to me that way. It was pretty much the only chance to save the company in this form. Still running shows and still taking care of the fans. For the weekly series, it's going to be on the Honor Club streaming. We also have Final Battle, which was the incredible dog collar match with the Briscoes versus FTR. It was Chris Jericho versus Claudio Castagnoli with the Ocho on the line, the Ring of Honor World Championship, and so many great matches. It was a great event, Final Battle. We put up the pay-per-views on Honor Club after a 90-day delay, so that'll be coming soon, as will an announcement about the weekly streaming series. And eventually, maybe there will be a TV home for it. But right now, the streaming is doing so well for Ring of Honor. I think it makes good sense having that on the Honor Club, at least in the current economics.
Well, thank you for taking some time to join us today. I can't let you go without talking about this NFL script business that's been all over Twitter that people have been talking about. Have you seen that, where people said the script for the NFL and things are rigged? Yeah. There was something that people said was leaked that in 2 years the Jaguars are supposed to win the Super Bowl. I'm sure that you'd be happy if that was a part of this script
well,
for the NFL.
We're all ready to go off script. Everyone's going to do their best to win games and go as far as we can this coming year for the Jaguars. We had a great season this past year, and we want to keep it going. So who's to say? But if that is the case, then certainly all the people in Jacksonville would be very happy in 2 years. But if that's the way it's happening, it's certainly news to me. And we've never talked about that in any of the meetings, I can assure you.
Yeah, who's the lead booker for the NFL? That's what I want.
Yeah. That's hilarious. I talked about how hard it is to do 2 shows for you every week. Imagine like trying to do all of those games every week. Jeez. Anyway, I can't believe people actually really think that. Anyway, thank you for indulging us, having fun with us today. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for having me. It was great to see you both, and hopefully see everybody tomorrow night on TBS for Wednesday Night Dynamite.
Absolutely.
And when you come to North Carolina, we got to take you out to Cookout or something, and get you some fries and some milkshakes and things like that.
I would love that. When I'm in town for the show, I usually am like bunkered in my office. So maybe we can get some Cookout in the bunker.
Yeah, we'll take it to you.
We'll bring it to you.
Yeah.